Welcome to deck analysis and testing. This time we're looking at Ancient Warriors. Ancient Warriors are a deck based around Chinese history, and their effects are actually lore accurate. Yeah, if you know anything about Three Kingdoms, you'll know what I'm talking about. When going first, the deck can make a bounce and sometimes a negate, but the deck truly shines going second. Once your opponent puts a monster on field, all your big guys in hand become free summons that break the board wide open and hit really hard. Let's have a look at the monsters we're playing. First is our main searcher, Masterful Sun Mo. When you control another Ancient Warrior monsters, your opponent cannot attack this monster, and also once per turn you can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard and add an Ancient Warriors monster from your deck to your hand, except for itself. And also if you activate another Ancient Warrior monster effect, you could bounce a monster on the field. Next is a Loyal Guan Yun. This is basically Pack at Home if you know anything about Master Duel. If your opponent only controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand as an effect. And also your opponent cannot target other Ancient Warrior monsters you control with card effects. It's really useful. And also if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And you can only use this effect once per turn. This is a free summon when your opponent is going first, and also it helps break your opponent's board. Next is one copy of Zhang De. This card gains 300 attack for every monster your opponent controls during your own turn, and also once per turn, if you control 2 or more Ancient Warriors on your field, you can special summon this card from your hand. And also, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can activate this effect to allow this card to attack 2 times on monsters during each battle phase this turn. Next is 3 copies of Fearsome Zhang Yuan. This card allows all other Ancient Warrior monsters you control to not be destroyed by battle, but more importantly, once per turn, at the start of the damage step, if your Ancient Warrior monster battles an opponent's monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and also that opponent's monster loses 1000 attack. And also, if a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy a card your opponent controls. This is a really good effect. And also, it itself has a decent amount of attack, and it's also a free summon. It's just really good going second. Next is 2 copies of Zhuge Kong. This card is a free summon when you search it, and also it is both a spell trap negate and a monster negate, but you only get the monster negate if you have exactly the next card in our list on our field, which is Liu Xuan. This card, when you control another Ancient Warriors monster, most monsters cannot target this card for attacks. And also, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can send one card from your hand or field to the graveyard to summon an Ancient Warriors monster directly from your deck. And also, if an attack is declared involving another Ancient Warrior monster you control, you could just draw a card for free. This card isn't really that useful overall if you're not using Zhuge in your turn 1 setup. But because this is a free-to-play version, we don't have more copies of Sun Mo, and we don't have 10 keys, so we're playing this card. And it is also a wind attribute that can be normal summoned for free, so it's useful to make our link too. And finally, we have 1 copy of Cao De. This card allows you to not be able to target this card for effects, and also cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And also, once per turn, if your opponent's card gets destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard and special summon this card for free. And it has quite a bit of attack, so this card is really good at just basically beating over anything. And also, if it does, you get to summon that opponent's monster to your own field in defense. And for our spells and traps, you're only playing 5 in total. First of all is our main searcher. Free visits searches in a pretty weird way. It doesn't just search for free, it allows you to search when you summon an Ancient Warrior monster from your hand. So you do need to have this card plus another Ancient Warrior that you are able to summon to get the search off of this card. But it's also a pretty good effect, especially when you send this to the graveyard. It lets you special summon an Ancient Warrior directly from your hand, so just more free guys on your field. Next is 1 copy of a Borrowing of Arrows. This is basically Riroku, if you know what that card does. it halves your opponent's monster's attack and lets you gain that lost attack to one of your Ancient Warrior monsters. It's basically like Dark Rebellion. And also, if it gets sent to the graveyard, you get to just place an Ancient Warrior spell or trap directly from your deck. So it just replaces itself, basically. Next is one copy of East by South Winds. This card sends itself to the graveyard during your second standby phase, and also once per turn you can toss a coin. This effect doesn't really matter, because usually you will be sending this card off of any of your monster effects, which directly triggers its graveyard effect that allows you to basically destroy a card every time you attack with your Ancient Warrior monsters, and also it makes all of the effects unrespondable, which is useful sometimes, but you usually use it for the pop effect. And finally, we have our single trap, which is a defense of a Changban. This card, if your Ancient Warrior monster battles, your opponent cannot activate any spell trap cards until the end of the damage step. And also, at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, and monsters your opponent controls cannot attack your Ancient Warriors for attacks this turn, so basically it stops your opponent's entire battle phase. And also, if your opponent declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one Ancient Warriors monster from your deck. This deck isn't very good going first, but this card does help you at least survive your opponent's turn, so you can just swing for a game in your next turn. For our extra deck, we were playing a bunch of random free-to-play links, but most importantly, we were playing a double Dragon Lords. This card is insane! This card does everything. You can link some of this card using 2 Beast Warriors, including 1 Wind Ancient Warriors, so that's why having Wind Ancient Warriors is very important in this deck. And when this card is link summoned, you could just add any Ancient Warrior card from your deck to your hand. It could be monsters, it could be spells or traps, it could be anything. And also, all Ancient Warriors you control gain 500 attack and defense. And also, as a quick effect, once per turn, you can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard and just bounce a face-up card back to the hand. So it is both your searcher and your removal. It's just a really good card in general. For the skill, we're playing it's a Toon World, because the only thing that this skill does is give you a continuous spell on your field for free, because a lot of your cards do require you to send face-up cards, or in some cases face-up spells, continuous spells or traps, in the case of a card that we aren't playing. So for example, if you're playing Zhou Gong, this card does require you to send continuous spell or trap to the graveyard to get a free search, but we're not playing that card because I don't think that card is very good, and also it doesn't really help with the strategy. But it is useful in that situation, and it's just a free card for you to send. Notably, in the free-to-play version, there is some consistency issues because we don't have access to free copies of Sun Mo and Tenki, but in the expensive version, the deck becomes a lot more consistent because of having access to Tenki basically allows you to always have access to Sun Mo, even when going first. And this card is really useful going first because it allows you to search your Kong, and this card can special summon itself when it's searched and give you access to your Link 2. And your Link 2 is pretty much the best turn 1 board that you could make using this deck, because most other big guys require your opponent to have monsters on field or your monsters to go to battle in order to summon. So having more copies of Sun Mo that gives you access to Zhuge Kong is always a good thing to have. And we're also playing 3 copies of Free Visits, and for the extra deck, it's just Links again, and also double Dragon Lords, obviously, and we're playing the same skill. Obviously, as a monster spam deck, this deck really loves going second, but unfortunately our game 1 here is we're going first, so let's see what we can do. We do open with our 2-card combo, which is our 3 visits plus a copy of Liu Xuan, which allows us to get ourselves Zhuge Kong, which summons itself, and that is 2 negates. It's actually just 1 because we don't have another card for it to send, but it does have its monster negate because we have Liu Xuan on our field, so we can negate the Rod, and then also trigger the graveyard effect of free visits to summon Sun Mo, and also we can get the search by sending the Toon World to the graveyard, and then Link summoning our double Dragon Lords, and now we're just comboing off. We have 3 guys in our hand, all 3 could special summon itself. Our opponent sees that we have another spell negate, and he's going to scoop. Now that was a really quick game 1, but in game 2 we're actually going second, so let's see how well this deck does to break our opponent's already established board. Our opponent is playing Fossils, so at least their monsters won't have a lot of quick effects that disrupt us, which is always nice, but even if he does, we still have our Guan Yun to pop his stuff. Our opponent will be activating Fossil Fusion to make us Skull King, which really doesn't do anything other than being a guy on field and also occasionally steal monsters from my graveyard, which really does nothing to our deck. We're going to get ourselves a Toon World from our skill and then activate free visits as always. And going second to low, Guan Yun becomes a really strong card. It's both a free summon and also a pop if our opponent has 2 or more monsters, but our opponent doesn't, so it's just a free guy. And it's also win, so it's really good to make our Link 2, which we will make right now. We're gonna get a search from Sun Mo first, and then we're gonna make our double Dragon Lords. Dragon Lords will get us a search, our opponent will overroot. It's too late, we already have a Yuga Kong on field, which will be able to negate that trap, and then successfully get our search anyway. We're gonna activate the effect of free visits to get ourselves a free summon, and then activate our borrowing of arrows to just use Dark Rebellion's effect. And we're going to beat over everything our opponent has after special summoning another guy on field. Our opponent will also be able to special summon 2 more guys, but it doesn't really matter. Our guys are stronger than theirs. Plus, we have a bounce that we haven't used yet. We're going to attack our opponent's monster first, and then send the monster that we already attacked with to the graveyard to bounce our opponent's remaining monster, and then attack 2 more times for well over lethal. In the third and final game, we are using the expensive version of the deck, obviously, but we're also going second. It's always nice for this deck to go second, but what's not so nice is having 2 free visits in our hand. Our opponent is playing S4s, and they're going to summon a Rappa and set to pass. Okay, we're going to activate Toon World to get ourselves the continuous spell. We're going to activate free visits, as always. He's going to MST, but we'll just, I guess, activate another copy. So, he should have popped the free visits when I activated the effect, but I guess he's just not very familiar with how the card works. We're going to summon a bunch of guys, and we're going to get a search of Sun Mo as well, but you're also going to be able to bounce his monster, but he will be able to chain his Rappa Chiyomaru because it is a quick effect. He's going to summon a bunch of guys as well, and then he's going to activate Chase to bounce back our monster plus our spell. I really don't know why he keeps bouncing my spell. I can just activate it again. We're gonna still be able to make a double Dragon Lords, which gives us another search, and as you can see in our hand, we have a whole bunch of monsters that are just waiting for us to summon. We're going to use the bounce effect to get rid of that Platina so we can actually beat over our opponent's monster, and on a damage calc, we could summon our free summon, our Zhang Yuan, and then we can also pop opponent's stuff, bounce another card, and just, yeah, that's way over lethal.